Hello, everyone. We are finally back with episode 78 of the What the Sheep podcast, where Alana and myself will be discussing, breaking down not only Campaign 3 episode 22, but also last night's episode 23. So, with episode 22, we've got a lot of really interesting Ashton stuff. We had a little bit of FCG stuff, because as it turns out, FCG was constructed in Besuris, which is where the party will be heading. We also got a little bit more Chetney stuff. It was more of just rehashing information we already knew, and then giving Chetney like a point of contact in Yeos when they eventually head over there. So I think the thing that people really want to talk about and hear about is all of the Ashton stuff that happened.
I've got nothing to say about it. Let's move on.
Yeah, y'all missed it. Y'all missed the insane theory that Alana had, and it's gonna come true. But y'all missed it, so it's a shame.
But yeah, no, it was out of nowhere, kind of just all of a sudden Ashton backstory, and it was sad. There was a lot of sad aspects to their story because it was like, I think playing out, you're like, oh, this is very exciting what we're learning, but
sure, yeah.
It was a sad, pretty tense experience that Ashton went through.
Right, because I mean, he essentially died. Like, he was going to die.
So yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty dire.
And I feel like it could even be argued, well, because it's interesting, right? Because when Ashton fell, he was clutching a vial of what we're all assuming is a Dunamancy potion.
Dunamis, yeah.
Which is what Gianna was smuggling, which is also interesting. Because Dunamancy and like it comes from the beacons, and beacons are all about the resurrection of the soul and like the cycles and stuff. So is it possible that Ashton actually did die, like he was dead, but then the Dunamancy potion and the magic that's connecting it to the beacon allowed his soul to come back and sort of be reborn, maybe?
I'm not sure. I haven't thought of it that way.
Maybe not to the extent of like being completely reborn, but
I kind of thought of it as like they had, because we were seeing their memories of, it flashing, and they had memories of them being in front of Milo, I feel like before Milo then put the potion inside of them. So the way I kind of see it is like, he was about to die. He was on death's door. But I think it was Milo said he called it a gumbo. The gumbo they put together to kind of keep their head in place, which is horrific imagery, because if we're talking about like, we haven't delved too much into the physiology of Ashton, like what their Genasi body is like, but the fact that Milo saw fit to put the slag glass to fuse the head together. I kind of saw it as it was that like that potential, that like motive possibility aspect of Dunamancy that was able to restart the heart or give it a jump start. But then it's like, it's just so wild to think that it's like everything's coming from Ashton's brain now, like this aspect of Dunamancy, this gravity and I can never say it. It's like not chronology, but it's chronourgy.
Chronergy? Yeah, something like that.
Chronergy, yeah, the time magic is coming from like in Ashton's mind, essentially, and then absorbing out through its body. It's scary because it's kind of the type of thing, like I remember in campaign 2 when they found the Dunamis like vial, which I'm assuming is something similar. That seemed like the most dangerous thing in the world.
Did they ever end up using it?
Where did they put it? I think did they give it to the Dynasty when they went there?
They might have, but I'm not
sure. Because it's very much like, this is like liquefied Dunamis from the beacon. Yeah. Which, if you think about what you're getting from the beacon, it is potentially like, we've not looked into what the motive possibility is from the beacon. Are you consuming a soul every time you do that? Are you consuming like a potential life every time you're doing that? Or is it just you're feeding off that energy, that kind of that potential energy that then goes on to restore life, restore
the
souls to the
beacon. So
body.
what I think the beacons are linked to the multiverse, and they are just linking all of the different timelines together into the mode of possibility, which like allows you like a reroll or something. Like when you succeed, like when you use the mode of possibility and succeed when you would have failed, the beacon is then like grabbing that potential from the alternate universe and pulling it into this one, which allowed you to succeed. So like, I don't know.
Horrifying.
I think the beacon is linked to the multiverse. Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange, everyone. Great movie.
I wonder how like the Raven Queen views. I mean, this is in the letter that they're really giving to, but I wonder how the Raven Queen actually views the beacon, and like because her deal's kind of, you know, the strings of fate, but they're all laid out, and but they do split. But the beacon kind of would be like frayed edges and, you know, new lines coming from frays, and it would fuck up her tapestry a little bit, you'd think. God, I'm hoping one day we get to know more about the Luxon and like what that god is. What were they when they were whole? Because it's just such an interesting concept of rejuvenation and rebirth and possibility, and then just the practical effects of it. And now it's in Ashton's head. Like all
and
of
now
that.
it's in Ashton's head. So
all of that possibility is there.
So there is still some stuff to talk about Ashton, but still speaking of the Dunamis stuff, I want to shift our focus to the potions that Gianna is smuggling. So the last we saw these potions of Dunamis was in Yeza's lab back in campaign 2, because he was the one who was able to successfully create a potion of Dunamis. So either Yeza is back at it, which is highly unlikely. The Empire was still potentially able to save the research that was done and have their own scientists continue it, because it was Ludinus, Deleth, and Vestarogna that seemed to be overseeing the creation process of these Dunamis potions. We know Vestarogna is dead, but Ludinus Deleth is still very much alive and well. And I don't think he was going to willingly give up that endeavor, because as far as we know, they still have one beacon, right? Because they had two. They gave one back as peace. They still have one.
The initial one I think that they saw when they visited the lab in Rexingtron, I think was a different one. So yes, I think
I'm fairly certain they still have one. I could be wrong, but I think they do. And so we've already had like direct connections to campaign 1. Obviously, the most obvious one is Delilah Briarwood from campaign 1. For campaign 2 connections, Ludinus Deleth may play a bigger role in this one as well if they follow this Dunamancy potion thread.
What if she's like collecting it for the Paragon's Call or something? Like, what if she's... Because I'm trying to think of, like, it was initially designed to give Dwendalian soldiers an edge. Like, I'm trying to think of how she would be selling it, or for what purpose. So I'm thinking, like, if she's selling it off to another military group, if she's selling it to the Paragon's Call. But I'm thinking she wasn't a player in all that. She wasn't necessarily with Armand Treshi in that regard. She was like kind of, but... I like, was it Leo just said, Gianna sure seemed to be mastering the violin at an accelerated rate. It's just like, it's like...
I guess it could just be for her. Maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if she's just like the middleman.
And I've pulled up the letters again. So it says that Hexam's dealings with outside dealers in Wildmount. So it's coming from Wildmount. It's not suggesting that these shipments are coming from...
is that from the letter?
Jorhas. So the spy saw the shipments coming from Wildmount. They're not coming from Jorhas, or at least it hasn't been detected to come from Jorhas.
That then definitely lends to the theory that
it's something in the...
Interesting.
It's not good. That's a bit concerning.
It is a bit concerning. But again, for what reason? I mean, as far as
And
we
the fact
know,
that she-
Wildmount and the Empire isn't in a direct conflict anymore. They could just be stockpiling. You know, in our modern era, nuclear missiles are still being made, even though hopefully we never use them.
Yeah.
So they could just be
Whoa.
making these potions as, in case we ever get into a conflict again, we'll have
Oh,
this
God.
trump card.
Have we learnt? Oh no, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Have we learnt? Oh yeah, who hired Ashton's group? I can't remember. That was like brought up, right? About like what put them on to stealing from Gianna.
It was just like a smash and grab everything
Yeah.
they want. Because I think
It was just
Ashton
like-
also asked that, and Matt was just like, "Yeah, you're just told to get in there, grab what you can." And
Because there was a bit in that episode where Ashton did like an insight check on Milo, and there was something odd about kind of what
oh yeah,
what they found. Trying to find it.
no,
It's been a whole
remember
week.
that now. I do remember that now.
Yeah, Ashton asked Milo who hired them for the job and what they were supposed to be stealing. They don't know why they didn't think to ask until now. Milo says it was a vengeful smash and grab, make a mess. That's what they were told. Insight check 20. Ashton gets a whisper on Milo. Milo is trying to remember. Whatever it was, it didn't go well. Ashton asks how long they were under. Because, yeah, it was... I think the thing that triggered Taliesin to ask for the insight check was because the way Matt was playing Milo in that scene, it was very like, oh, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it came across very suspicious that Milo didn't know who hired them. But we got a whisper, and we got nothing from it. We got no, like, confirmation from Taliesin of, like, what that whisper told us. It could be completely, like, innocuous. I don't think Milo's a secret spy. That's
I was getting the vibes that if Milo was not being shady, but just holding back information, it was just to protect Ashton.
Yeah. Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm wondering if she's still trading in that stuff. I know that like she must know that it went missing. Some of the vials went missing. And she must have well, we don't know. Like, does she recognize that Ashton has these abilities now? Does she still view them as just a smash and grabber, or does she know about their like gravity powers and their chaos bursts, things like this? So I'm interested that in this episode she did kind of like let the debt go and let Ashton go. Makes me think that she doesn't know about the uniqueness of their abilities. It's more just like, oh, you were a useful tool, like, but you know, a deal's a deal. I feel like if she was aware of the fact that Ashton's got dunamancy in their head, she would have been a bit more clingy, a little bit more.
And
like,
even if
no, put you on retainer, sort of thing.
even if she did suspect something was going on, she herself may not even know the full extent of what these potions are capable of.
She does come across as kind of just, you know, a real wealthy chick that's dealing in wealthy business.
Yeah.
Just a business lady.
Yeah, just a casual doing business.
With weird statues and weird interests, and she does ship in a lot of interesting items. She's like an expensive black market
Which
fence.
makes
almost.
me wonder.
She's a fiend. She's
Maybe.
a devil.
But back shifting to the golem, the automaton that was stolen from her.
By
Do we
what's
know?
face?
Yes. Do we know if that golem was created by her, for her, or was this an acquisition? Like maybe a Devexian from Aor, perhaps.
It did have, if I'm not mistaken, it did have her initials on the golem. It might have been on the crate. It might have been on the crate, but I feel like it was on the golem.
Yeah, I think it was that.
And and I think like if you're branding it, it's going to be for your personal use. Why she would need a massive stone golem that's like in a city? It's like having a pet tiger in a city. Like, what the hell?
Status,
this is irresponsible. Yeah.
Mostly more security.
Yeah. Oh man, she's interesting. She's like, oh god, I'm trying to think of a good comparison, but she's just like this batshit collector that like has too much power and influence to know what to do with. Who starts learning the violin later in life? Like, come on, who's got that time?
Much less flamboyant Yvonne Hytroga. I feel like they are, two different sides of the same coin, essentially.
Oh my god. These, like,
could be it.
Imagine how nice it would be to be like a D&D elite. Obviously, you would have people constantly trying to break into your place, like a bunch of parties just constantly trying to make deals with you. But just imagine being rich, having money, and just, getting to learn the violin and buy stone golems.
Super nice. Super nice.
Yeah.
But shifting focus back to Ashton, he got many flashes of memories from this one of growing up in the Hellcatch Valley, looking up to an adult with a hand being held, guessing from when they were a child. Also flashes of some of the members of the troop that they ran with, especially for the heists, like this almost like shamanistic or druidic-esque individual who we did get a name of, but I think I forgot to write it down.
I got it. Where is it? Where are my notes?
I feel like it started with an M.
There were a few names. There was Jato. Jetto was the leader. Jetto. And I can't remember the other one's name.
I think it's fine.
It's fine.
That's not the point. The point is that some of them disbanded to Besurus, which is where they are now going to be headed. Which is also interesting for FCG, because FCG was created in Besurus. So not only will FCG potentially get recognized, but also Ashton. So we got some really, really awesome backstory potentials coming up in Besurus, as well as following and hopefully finishing off the Armand Treshi story arc, as well as the Paragon's Call, because the Paragon's Call also retreated back with Armand Treshi to hopefully hunker down and let things cool off for a little bit. As Eschuros did relay to the rest of the party that Armand was basically found out and he fled Drusar.
I'm excited for the catch up with Treshi, because they're such a dick. Like, I want to see them get arrested. Actually, but I feel like they're not going to go down so easily. I can't imagine them getting Treshi back to Drusar alive.
Yeah, probably not going to happen. But I am interested in the idea of more FCG and Ashton stuff going down in Besurus. Like, I'd love to meet Ashton's old group. I would love to learn more about Dancer and what they were all about, because it's possible that FCG might come across people in Besurus that knew Dancer. And are like, yo, what happened to everyone else? Like, where is Dancer? Who are all these people you're with? So I'm excited for that. That's what I'm excited for. But then those are the two big things for FCG and Ashton in this episode. Shifting focus over to Chetney, the party finally got a chance to meet with Ajit Dayal and get a little bit more information about the Gorgonay. Yeah. All that stuff. I love this NPC. Ajit Dayal.
They're great.
Really awesome.
Just like, I feel like I want to go see them if I have a problem. Like, they're just so welcoming and kind and empathetic and nice NPC.
And I love the idea of their university, where it's like a free university for chillins, for the children of Drusar to just learn and all that stuff. It's just very wholesome
and to learn, like that they're learning some things. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised about corruption from the age of 5.
Yeah, but like through the guise of the hungry, hungry caterpillar.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
Greed and consumerism has
God.
filled this caterpillar to the brim.
Now I'm wondering, God, are like kids' books and movies are they just propaganda for like capitalism? Is that all it is? Is that what society is now? But just know it was great for Chetney to be able to have this conversation. It's interesting that, I mean, we all assumed that Chetney would want to hold on to this power.
Oh, yeah.
Fully control it. But we did get a name, a Professor Tyron in Eos, ex-student of Ajit Dayal, who may be able to assist them. So I really like how Matt sets it up where, like, it feels very much like Pillars of Eternity or Divinity Original Sin in this layout of, like, quest progression. Because it's like, boom, Drusar is as Act 1. You know, speaking of, like, Divinity Originals. Where everything is contained into Drusar. But then Act 2, the characters' backstories expand to the new areas that they've unlocked.
Collars come off.
So in Act 2, they're going to Basuras, and that's all of a sudden where a bunch of other character backstory stuff happens. Now they go to Eos, Act 3, which is also another bunch of stuff where characters' backstories are ready to get. So I really like this different, how Matt is progressing the narrative, not only as a whole, but also for each individual piece.
Yeah, I like it.
Helps it flow. It keeps everything nice and contained.
And the fun part about them traveling to multiple different places is all those places are still under the gaze of Ruidus. So Imogen's got her already there at all points. Like, there's no running from that. Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
But I did like the kind of information that Ajit Dayal gave. It was essentially like, wasn't it like, you know, go to this place when there's a full moon and you've got it. Like,
and how
which is,
they'll find you.
Yeah, and how. Which is like badass.
Yeah.
It's like so cool.
But then I also like the idea that there's like hunters specifically.
Yeah.
Like the werewolves. Like it's
gross and I love it.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, is this gonna turn into like an episode of an episode of Twilight? Is that what it's gonna be? It's gonna turn to Twilight, or the hunters are actually vampires and are hunting down the last of the werewolf tribes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, super excited whenever they do that. But Eos seems like it's going to be a little ways away, because Basuras is what's on the table right now, and I believe that's all I really have for the previous episode. There were a few small things, but nothing really noteworthy. We did get Ashton's debt cleared with Gianna, which is nice for him. Oh, the letter from Vexalia.
Oh yeah! Oh my God,
that
was so good. That was
awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Marisha's reaction to that was incredible. Just like getting it, reading a bit, and just going like, oh, the realization of what they had, and finally getting it to Laura. No, that was fun. That was just nice to have at least a little bit of a capstone on Bertram's story. It was just nice to think that Bertram did make it to Whitestone.
Yeah.
Like,
thank goodness.
Yeah.
That would have been bad. So we got that. Not much else. Last strange stuff on Ashton. Yeah. Another thing that I wrote down is I really like how Matt is like giving NPCs things that they do to make them feel more alive. For example, when they met with Gianna, she was practicing the violin. When they met with Esteros, he was training away and like working out and stuff. So
not just sitting in a chair at the door waiting to talk to them. Yeah.
I like that. It makes them feel more alive. You know, they're a living, breathing character in the world. So it's something that I liked that he did. Last night's episode. Also a bit of a doozy.
Yeah, I have one note. It is Chetney is fucked. Like, what the fuck?
Yep.
What the fuck, Chetney? What the fuck is up with that?
Great.
Let's talk about Chetney. I want to talk about Chetney.
Yep.
It's like the main thing I've been wanting to talk about. Like, I felt very uncomfortable watching that scene. But at the same time, I thought it was excellent. I think we're seeing kind of like the first real glimpse of a character playing as close to an, I don't want to say evil because alignment's stupid, but like that was an evil action.
Yeah, I agree.
That was in the sense of DVD, that would be an evil scene played out. At least in the character's way of viewing their own actions, because it was very much like, you know, when Matt said at one point, are you just trying to scare them or are you trying to hurt them? And I was just like, don't care kind of thing. Like the lack of empathy, or just the apathetic nature of, I don't actually care if this hurts them or not. Yeah, that's like, that's technically evil, but it's really cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was like, damn, because then this reminded me of Imogen when she was triggering the flame trap over and over again. Yeah, to burn the other group. I was like, Jesus, y'all are kind
of dark.
Yeah.
I thought when like Chetney was sneaking off, I'm like, oh, this is going to be like a funny caper sort of thing. Like it's going to be, you know, just messing with the shopkeep. Yeah, no, it was a lot. Yeah, it was violent. It was terrifying. And yeah, it kind of makes you. It's hard because like it's a good scene, but at the same time, it's like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about Chetney. Like this is dark.
Yeah, and Canadace brings up an interesting point, is that Chetney was the one who encouraged Imogen to trigger the trap multiple times. So again, you know, alignments are dumb. But if we want to bring alignments into it, is it possible that Chetney's actually like neutral evil aligned?
I think we're gonna see a lot more cases of Chetney struggling to control those based instincts, because
that could be what it is.
Because it came from what, being overcharged for some items. It's not like that's not a big deal. Yeah, so there's some aspect of Chetney that has like, you know, rage issues, has control issues. I think it's setting up this character nicely for a long arc of failures, and that sounds really mean, but like it is setting them up for like, you know, possible failures and control gains, things like that. Because they're like square one, really, with like control. That's like
they're
messed up.
Have you seen any of the Lilo and Stitch movies?
Yeah.
The second one, I think it's Lilo and Stitch. Stitch has a glitch where like Stitch starts going crazy, and it's in the first one where Lilo has the picture of Stitch, and it's like the good versus bad like filled. Like Chetney's all bad right now, and they got to start working it. They got to start working it down.
100%. And like it's also the kind of thing. It's like I don't necessarily want Chetney to change. Like if that's what Travis wants for Chetney to be, like, you know, a reckless, dangerous character that, you know, eventually might get caught for their reckless, dangerous behavior, then that's great. That's super exciting. Yeah. But we do love that kind of reformation. We do kind of love that. That progress that characters can make in Critical Role, because it's so good. I mean, like, look at, you know, it's Taylor beating themselves up all the time in early campaign 2, and, you know, I'm a terrible person, but Chetney's like that, but doesn't have that self-doubt. And goes for being a terrible. They're like, no, I'm fine, I'm great, I'm super awesome. But I feel like there's a crash. There's going to be a crash at some point. It's the oh no, I'm an English teacher. I should remember this stuff. It's the
climax.
It's something to do with tragedy. No, it's the folly, something like that. It's essentially the downfall, which normally in tragedy would mean the character's dead or the character's met the fate as a result of their action. But it's Critical Role, it's D&D, so there's a chance then for redemption. It's exciting. I love those stories of boop, boop. Like, it's great. Or it could just be all the way down.
It could could keep going down. But maybe the trigger for that is like, what if Chetney loses control again and he kills Fern? Maybe.
I think it will be something like that. I think it will be Chetney loses control, dangerously injures, or plus potentially like turns one of the other characters.
That'd be interesting.
Who would you like it to be?
Oh man. I think Orm or
If
Fern
Chetney,
make the most sense.
yeah, I think Oren would be a really good pick.
Yeah, that'd be
Because
good.
I think like we've already got some groundwork for Orem and Chetney having this kind of understanding of the control or the lack of
Hmm.
control. Orem is like, security dad. Orem is
Yeah.
very much like constantly on Chetney and watching Chetney, for good reason. But
Hmm.
I think there would be a good kind of sounds so evil. It's like, oh, would it be great if Chetney bites Orem?
Yeah.
Um,
Man, I
and
wish
that's what
that, man.
caused, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd be excited for that kind of redemption
Yeah.
for Chetney. But I'd also be excited for no redemption, and Chetney just lives their best life by being a
Hmm.
vicious, terrifying werewolf.
Yeah. I mean, I'm here for that as well. Um, but something else that happened that I didn't realize until last night, I think, is that Fern actually took a level in Rogue. I didn't
Did
realize
what?
that.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Their most recent level up, Fern took a level in Rogue.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't remember that ever happening, but a bunch of people were
Yeah.
telling me that she did.
I need to find the. Oh my god, that's wild.
Yeah.
Oh
I was
my
like,
god, that's
what?
wild. I've just seen the criminal stats card for it.
Uh, and then so did Chetney.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think Druid Rogue. That makes sense. I mean, it definitely plays
yeah.
into what she's doing.
Hmm. I dig it.
My goodness.
Because then
That's
I'm just
fun.
imagining like sneak attack as like a panther or something, or as like an eagle or something.
Well,
Because
I feel like
like
for her,
we looked it up and it's kind of in the gray area of rules. It doesn't really say sneak attack doesn't trigger in wild shape.
is it a melee action though? Is it a melee attack, sneak
Well, it
attack?
says. Oh, I think what sneak attack is you can use sneak attack with like a finesse or whatever weapon.
So I'm not sure if unarmed claws would count. But
True,
that's rules as
but
written. Like you could for
yeah,
flavor, fuck it.
exactly. I want to see a sneak attack as like a T-Rex or something.
um,
Be hilarious.
that's exciting. I kind of like the idea if she does just go full rogue. Imagine that, like,
Yeah.
because if you think of Fern as like almost like natural born druid,
Hmm.
from the Feywild, that was just what she had. Now that she's out in the material plane, she can be whatever she wants. So she's like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, fuck, I'm gonna be a rogue.
What's interesting is I wonder if I can, or maybe if you still have them. The poll that we did, the guessing competition. I feel like a decent amount of
Yeah,
people put Ashley as a rogue, as a
have a
guess.
look. No
That's a
take
decent
backsies
amount.
on the poll.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, give me a sec. I'll bring it up.
That's actually pretty interesting. Um, but
Let's
Fern
see.
definitely fits into that archetype. Very very sticky fingered, very sneaky, very charming in that roguish kind of way. Um,
I'll just
so
find it on our Twitter. That'd be easier.
um,
Yeah,
I'm
no, that's interesting.
mhm.
I'd be excited to see her go full rogue. Uh, I think, yeah, because I'm not sure. Like, we haven't seen too much druidness from her. I guess
Yeah.
she
Hmm.
definitely plays more like the sly kind of. Oh my god, that was ages ago. We did the poll. It's gonna take me forever to find.
Yeah.
Oh my
That was
god.
quite some time ago. I think I have it somewhere.
I've probably got it on my computer. It's probably
Mhm.
better to look from there.
But
I'll do it.
anyways, yeah. So we had the whole Chetney thing, um, and then they got a portable hole. I remember that. I was like, oh, this is familiar, um, as we had one in our campaign.
Oh, yes, I love it. It's
Very
so
fun magical
good.
item. Very
Yeah.
fun. And I love how
Yeah,
like they
that's right.
spent
That's
so
right. You
much time
stole that.
figuring out the mechanics of it. It's like, what if we did this?
100%. That's the reason I put it in Hit Dice Heroes was because I got it in a campaign,
Yeah.
and we spent a long time trying to figure out how to use this item to our advantage. And
Yep.
that campaign unfortunately ended. Like all campaigns do. But I always had the plan of, unfurling it as a trap, and like a wagon could fall into that thing. Like it's essentially a pitfall, an instant pitfall. No, it's such a messed up item. It's so good.
It's insane.
Like to use it to like transport, like, someone, they could all jump in there and then someone could put it in their pocket and then that person can turn into mist, or like, turn into a wild sheep animal where the stuff melts them, run a certain distance. Like it's so broken because like
That's actually pretty crazy. I didn't even think of that.
Any kind of traversal issues that they might have had, as long as it takes less than like 90 seconds, it's fine. Or like, cast a spell where they don't need to breathe and chuck them in. It's so good. I love it so much.
Huh.
Yeah, it's broken.
And it also almost acts as like a Trojan horse too, because like,
100%.
again, if you're not traveling very far, load a bunch of soldiers up into it, then like just fucking unload them. Yeah, there's
the only thing I'm not sure with it is like in terms of anti-magic and like spell magic with them. I don't know how that works on those, because that could fuck it up. Or as Liam said this episode, it's a pocket dimension. Pocket dimension plus pocket dimension equals bad.
Very
so like
bad.
if they ever accidentally chuck it into a bag of holding, it's not going to go well.
Nope, not good.
All right, I got the thing. I got the Ashley thing.
Ooh.
All right. So for Ashley, the number one pick was Rogue. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was Rogue. Elf Rogue was the most common pick.
Seems like those
Rogue,
two
then
that
Bard, then Monk, then Warlock, then Paladin, then Ranger. Druid was last. Only one person picked Druid. And I think that's because at that time we weren't expecting them to play the same characters that they played.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
That's funny though.
Oh, but yeah.
That's good.
But it suits. Yeah, it's such a good. I think because we also discussed it when we did our episode talking about it, about how it's the most different to what she'd already done. Rogue is like the most kind of different to cleric and barbarian. It's that trifecta of difference. Oh, that'd be a fun poster. Trifecta of difference for D&D. Anyway.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. They also got, what was the other item they got? Oh, it was the horn, right?
Did they get the
Is that
horn?
when they got? Is that when they got the horn? The horn of silent alarm.
I think.
Was that
Yeah, because they got it at Marwas. They got the portable hole. They got the horn. Maybe the one other thing. But
yes, it was the horn. Oh yes, no. It was the butcher's bib.
Oh,
they got
that's
the butcher's
right.
bib.
The butcher's bib.
Love that item. It's so cool.
Oh man, it's disgusting, but yeah, it's pretty good.
It's disgusting. Oh man, that's like, imagine Chetney like properly wearing that.
Yeah.
And just like having blood constantly dripping off them.
God.
That is ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's such a cursed item. It's like
But it does seem like there's a story there. Because all those items were bundled together, the butcher's bib and the portable hole. Like, it could have belonged to, like, a serial killer. Like,
that's pretty dodgy
gave
stuff.
it up.
But the butcher's bib, that's like a really cool one, because that was when the Wild Mount Guide came out. I tweeted about the butcher's bib because I'm like, this is fucking cool. This is really exciting. And I like tagged all the writers, like, what the fuck's up with this bib? And I got a response from Chris Lockie like 2 years ago now. It's over 2 years ago, about what the bib was, essentially, where it came from. So if you don't want to know, it's like for the next 15 seconds, block your ears. But essentially the response was, the butcher's bib was begotten as the perverse design of an arcane Blightshaw executioner from dreaded Gorvelis.
Oh, shit.
So if you don't know about Blightshaw, it's like next to Jorhas, and it's just a fucked up place. But I was just like, oh, how did it get from there to here? And that's canon for the campaign guide. It might not be canon for the current campaign. But it's still like a cool backstory. Still like a cool thing that it's now in their possession.
Oh,
with the other serial killer supplies. Yeah.
Jeez. That is cool though. I really like those these fun items. It's also really strong.
Yeah.
Being the crit on a 19 or 20 is no joke.
That's
also
fun.
a bit of
That's
extra
actually
damage. The only downside is that it's always dripping.
You think there should be like a charisma deficit there a little bit, like it should affect your charisma somehow. Or like your con, like you're constantly surrounded by flies and disease with this bib.
Ugh.
Nah, it's
I
really
love
cool.
it. I love it and I hate it so much.
Yeah.
But you know what I do love entirely
Ooh.
is the crew of the Silver Sun.
Oh wow, they're lovely. I thought you were segueing into fan art. I'm like, I don't have any fan art.
Yeah, we don't have any fan art. No fan art this time, y'all. That would have been a good segue though. But no, Captain Xandis. We got Khalil Bennis, Denalia, Tirana, and Gordy.
Amazing names.
Was the
All of
ones.
them are amazing names.
I love Denalia, the bugbear chef with social anxiety. That was
I love
so sweet.
bugbears so much. They're amazing. They're so cute. Captain Xandis is incredible. I love the voice, which they said was essentially what's his name? I can't remember his name now. The guy from The Room.
I know you're talking about.
But yeah, it's just like so well kind of realized as a character. Tommy Wiseau, that's it. Tommy Wiseau. They were just they're the type of person that in real life makes me really uncomfortable because it's just like I can't tell if you're joking with me or not, and my social anxiety is like not going to be able to handle this. But I love that kind of jokey character vibe that they had. It's just like, well, you're never fully certain what they're serious about. They're very laissez-faire, very kind of relaxed in the situation. And just cool character design, cool character voice, cool character personalization. That's a word. Fun.
100% agree.
Hi, Mark.
And good vibes all around with the rest of the crew.
Good vibes, yeah. Everyone's just nice and chill.
Good Estros.
Maybe too chill.
Good company. Yeah, maybe there's something going on here.
Maybe too chill for like flying a skyship.
Yeah, could be. But then we had a nice fun airship combat going down with the two
that was fun.
Akarath hunters. I wrote it down. Oh, Skirath.
Skirath hunters.
Skirath hunters. Really cool. I don't know if that's a homebrew creature or anything, but it looked really cool. But not much going on in this combat other than two things. One, Imogen flying. That was pretty cool. I liked the description of that and how that was revealed. Saving Orem from death. And then raising up with Orem cradled in her arms was great. But the big one, got Ashton again.
So cool.
I guess Ashton has access to portal guns. And
my word,
I don't really know much about that, but it's cool.
I want to read the subclass sheet. Just give us the subclass already.
My God, what? Portals? Portals?
And that's the thing too, because it's so far such a gosh darn varied subclass. Because from what we know so far, there's already effects that are gravity based. There's diffusion kind of base, like where you can't see the character. There's ones that are related to, I think it's mainly those two. It's the gravity one and like the red and blue diffusion one. But now we've got a traversal skill.
Yeah.
So because it's not just being able to have your attack hit somewhere else, which they did by shoving the hammer down. It allowed them to teleport as well. It allowed them to gain movement. So it's powerful.
This just seems like a ridiculous upgrade to the Wild Magic Barbarian. This one blows it completely out of the water in terms of utility.
Like I said, I really want to read it. There's been anytime a new subclass comes out, it needs to be play tested. So this is kind of like a nice way to view the play testing. it's quite powerful. These skills are quite strong. I'm interested to see like if they ever get nerfed a bit or something, but we don't know the details yet. We don't know the limitations of these abilities. But as they stand, they're pretty wild. Like they're pretty powerful. Of course, I'm thinking like they must be related to rages, so there are some limitations on that. But I want to know how those portals work, man.
Yeah.
I want to think with portals.
I want to know the exact mechanics, exactly how everything happens.
I don't play D&D for fun. I play D&D for rules.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, I mean, we'll probably get it in a year from now when we get Explorer's Guide to Marquette.
Time, space, gravity, and luck. Yeah, on full-sided dive.
Gotcha. But no, it's super cool. And later on, after the combat, FCG spoke to Imogen and kind of Laudna about the idea of potentially connecting their two minds when Imogen is sleeping, so that Laudna could like be there to help. I guess that would be cool. I wonder if that's just something FCG is going to try, or if that's actually something that he has with like his empathy domain, like mental connection. It was
very much like, I'm not fully sure how I'm going to do it, but I just feel like I might be able to, which is kind of also how the other 6th level abilities have come out. It's like, oh, I can do portals now. Oh, I can fly now. Like it's, I kind of like that, like the showing off the new abilities, them just learning it, just having it. So it might be something like that. It might be actually just like, I just have a feeling I can do it. And then they utilize their new. So although I don't think the cleric gained anything at 6th level, wasn't it just a new channel divinity? Or maybe it is a channel divinity. I don't know. I don't know D&D.
Well, that could be it. Yeah, it could be a channel divinity thing.
But
as people,
that's gonna be great. I can't wait for buddy Laudna and Imogen to get together and help each other out. Best friends forever.
Totally just roommates. They're great. Yeah. So we got really probably one of the most angsty scenes so far of this campaign, and it's definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah, and we talk about the angst, and we talk about loving the angst. We should also probably just like fair warning, like when we talk about angst, we are also talking about like dramatic moments and scenes. I don't want people to think we're like, angst is a big umbrella for us. Because it was like, this is like character defining moment of like a shift in some characters. What the hell? We need to get rid of Delilah Briarwood.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this. So we know that this crystal, back when we first learned more about it, it's all about changing things. Whether it be for the better or for the worse, we don't really know, but it's all about change. And maybe there's like life energy to it, or there's some kind of energy to it that Delilah wanted. Delilah saw it. And so what do we think actually happened here when Laudna clutched it? It was like burning, and then like that warmth pulsed through her body. Oh boy. So I feel like we've talked about this before. No, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, like, I was going to start breaking it down. Like, what do we know about Delilah so far? Where do we think she is?
Right.
Sort of thing.
So the way Matt described it is that there's a fragment of Delilah that lives in Laudna. We don't know how big that fragment is. It's just a piece of Delilah that lives within Laudna. Obviously, Delilah is going to want to come back. Some way, somehow, she's going to want to try to get her own body. I'm so very worried that Delilah isn't particularly interested in getting a new body.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be trying to take over Laudna's body.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm feeling too.
Yeah.
That's I think because so this is what I was getting at. What we know about Delilah so far, she was killed in Whitestone under the ziggurat. She came back as a clone, so she's capable of cloning herself.
Yeah.
And then she was destroyed again. one, there was always a theory that she potentially had another clone, but they take a long time to create.
Mm-hmm.
But and yeah, she's died 3 times. She has died 3 times. She just won't stay dead. So either it's a fragment within Laudna, and she's like, desperately trying to get back to a clone of her body. I need to reread the clone spell and double check how it fully works. But it's kind of like almost like a phylactery in a sense. Like Laudna is a phylactery for this aspect of her soul, which is terrifying because generally the way a soul is freed from a phylactery is the phylactery is broken, which we don't want because it's Laudna is like the container of this aspect of Delilah. I'm with you. I think Delilah's trying to, like, as you say, like, collect as much power as possible, and either she's going to take over Laudna, or when she's ready, she's just going to discard Laudna. It doesn't look good either way.
None of it looks good, but I love it.
Oh, it's so good.
Delilah is such a cool villain. I also see people saying that Delilah might be interested in trying to take Imogen's body as like a vessel or something.
Yeah,
that could potentially be interesting.
It's interesting too because this was very much like I was surprised at one moment in this, and it was when, like, to recap, they'll talk about the stone and then Imogen gives her the stone. You've recapped. When Laudna was holding it and she's starting to feel it, like, kind of be siphoned and be destroyed by Delilah in a second, I was really surprised that Matt didn't give her a role for that. Because she did kind of say, like, I drop it, or, like, I give it away, and he's like, you can't. That's interesting because that just might have been, like, a brain flood moment, but that felt very decisive for the DM to be like, no, you have 0 control in this situation. That really surprised me. So I'm hoping there was a narrative reason for that rather than it just being like nah, you can't, because I don't know. I'm hoping there was, like, a more powerful reason other than just, like, they forgot to let her have a bit of agency. Because it would have been, even if it was, like, a DC 30 wisdom save or something, I think it still would have been nice for... Because it could have been just that thing of, like, well, Matt's like, well, this would be an impossible thing to fight against. There's no point rolling. But it did kind of, like, make me think, like, the player is saying they want to let it go. I feel like they should have been given the opportunity to let it go, but I'm so glad they didn't because it was so cool.
That is a good point. Like, even if Matt did set it at, like, a DC 30, even like 35, I don't know. Just to at least allow her to at least put it in her mind that she could have potentially resisted it.
Because it makes it seem as if then, like, Laudna is just like a puppet, essentially, for Delilah. Like, and we've got all this puppet imagery now of Laudna has her own puppets, and she's the puppet for Delilah. I'm thinking that there is either some narrative reason for, like, it's like, no, well, when your patron is working through you in this way, you have 0%, you have 0 control. Or who was it? Someone just said in chat. Stormy Boy was saying, like, unless Marisha talked to Matt and wanted something like this to happen. So it could have been like a preconceived conversation of, like, if Delilah's taking control, she's got control. I thought it was odd. It's definitely something I noticed, that there wasn't a role. Delilah could possess Pate. I like it. It's all going down the grapevine.
Oh my god.
But it led to, which is funny, it led to this misunderstanding that Adam hated, but I loved. Like, I get that. The social anxiety and the social kind of hurt and the emotional hurt from that exchange was terrible. And I'm really glad we got to experience
the you lied line that Laura delivered was so good. But so,
she's
like,
too
I
good.
Understand, like, a horrible misunderstanding. Like, from an outsider's perspective, like, we know exactly what happened. Imogen doesn't really have full context. I mean, she knows Laudna, she knows Delilah's there, so she knows sometimes things happen. However, we also have to remember, Imogen saw this crystal as kind of like a lifeline, almost. She took great comfort in this crystal. It brought her safety, warmth. She thought it may have protected her while she was in these dreams.
Yeah.
So for Laudna to take it, promise not to do anything to it, and then it being broken, and then Imogen losing that anchor. I mean,
yeah,
I would think in the moment, even though they do have great chemistry and a great friendship, I feel like it totally makes sense that Imogen reacted in that way. 100%.
Yeah. And it's also too, like, I mean, Laudna, she was getting those pings, she was getting those feelings of, oh, I need to look at it, she didn't question those, and this is not a criticism, but she didn't like question where those pings were coming from, of why she wanted to suddenly examine this stone so thoroughly. I think it was Laudna having concern and wanting to help, but there was definitely a desire there to engage with this that wasn't naturally just coming from Laudna. So there had to have been some understanding of, like, oh, I've got this weird desire to suddenly hold this rock. But I think the "you lied" from Imogen, it comes from, as you say, like, you know, she trusted Laudna, but now she sees this as a betrayal. It's almost like a siphoning of power, especially when you've got sorcerers who think, you know, it's all about the power. Like, this is very much like, you know, she sees Laudna as having stolen something from her. It's very One Ring. It's very Lord of the Rings kind of like.
Yeah.
Gem had that hold on Imogen as well. She saw it as this wonderful tool and she had a lot of comfort from it. But I think it was also, you know, a bit infecting her of, like, my precious.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because as Romney Water in the chat says, not to mention, I think Imogen was attuned to this stone as well. It was probably a cursed item. Again, that definitely lends to the theory of, like, it being like the ring almost, where because she was, like, falling asleep while grasping it, it's possible that like through, like, DMs and stuff under the tables and stuff, they're still like, you have, like, a deep connection to this thing, like, you do not want to lose this crystal.
And then it's interesting too that she was able to hand it over to Laudna. Like, it could have been like, had anyone else asked, it might have been a persuade me sort of thing, or like, maybe I do want to give it to you, I need to make a wisdom save or something. I'm getting flashbacks to Veth with the cursed dagger. Like, they had to break that from her. But with Imogen and Laudna, it was like, you know, she didn't want to give it up, but she did because she trusted Laudna, which didn't work out. So yeah, so that the lying, you lied to me. It's like, I trusted you, you lied, I'm betrayed. And then they kind of, they didn't play it off, but it was very much like, I didn't know, I wasn't in control. And Imogen's like, like, it was very much like, I believe you. It's gonna be messy. It's gonna be messy, and I'm excited.
And it's gonna, and it'll only get messier, because obviously they could resolve this little dispute here, but if Delilah is getting a hold of more and more power, she could end up taking control of Laudna more and more and doing things against her will, which could then break trust even further. So it's like, I don't know,
And she's not keeping Laudna in the loop. I mean, she's Delilah. She's serving Vector. It's all secrets with this bitch. So it's like, she's not going to be telling Laudna what she's using her for, what the plan is. She is very much at the beck and call of Delilah in this regard. So I'm thinking it's going to definitely push for Laudna to actively rid herself of Delilah, which is, again, wonderful. I love Warlock stories where it's pushing to get rid of their patron, but also, you know, concerning, because when that happens, what happens with the character? You know, we saw Ford completely lose all their Warlock abilities, and I don't think they're going to go the same route of Laudna, you know, discovering another patron. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting what happens in that regard.
Yeah, I do. The two things that I want to see from Laudna's story. One, I think I would love to see her be, like, true resurrected as herself again, or something, however that works. Full of life once again. Or two, and this is the angstier one, is I want Delilah to take over Laudna's body, and there to be a huge climactic battle, where then they have to maybe resurrect the soul of Laudna once again, once they defeat Delilah. That's what I want to see. That's what
Revenants are cool. Revenants are so cool. Just yeah.
It's awesome.
They generally Revenants. No, wait, she's not a Revenant. She's a hollow body.
Or yeah, Hollow. Yeah.
I was gonna say Revenants don't normally come back. But a hollow body, it's such a new feature, it's such a new class, it's such a new essentially race option that the possibilities are endless for what you can do with those guys.
Yeah. But speaking of endless and unlimited possibilities, Exandria Unlimited is coming back. We got Exandria Unlimited Calamity coming back. And they dropped a really awesome teaser trailer for it the other day. It was super sick.
Interesting point of order. In that trailer, there's like flashes of a character, and it looks like Vespin Chloris.
Yeah, the guy
that started the Calamity.
Yeah.
Yep. Timeline wise, it seems like they've probably filmed EXU Calamity maybe a little while ago, because we mentioned it in that episode when his journal was found, why they were so like oh my god about it, and because it was Travis and it was Marusha and it was Sam, and they're the ones that are playing in the game. So I'm thinking this was filmed a little while ago. Then they've continued with campaign 3 to give them a big break, essentially a summer break. But that's because that's like when they react, it's like how do they remember this shit from campaign 1?
Because I think he was kind of brought up in the history of Exandria video that they had put out. That is interesting. So I remember when that happened, when they found the journal and the person was named and they were like freaking out. I was like, wait,
why do they care?
What? So that's a really good point.
Yeah, so I'm thinking there's like some timeline. Remember the name for the book? Yeah, it could be that. I think,
Ultimately, it's going to be so
but
sick.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Mulligan
it seems like it's going to be very dark. I hope it is, at least.
I love the teaser they have for it, because you got Brendan Lee Mulligan as the DM, and his intros are always so bright. It's like, welcome to the game that we are playing together, and then in a heartbeat he's going to turn and be like, the Calamity is right, like he will switch. Like I really hope they manage to stop the Calamity. That'd be cool. Imagine if they do it and this is like an alternative timeline.
Oh shit,
that'd be fun. This is an alternative universe. Multiverse of Madness. We brought it back.
Well, because I had some theories about it. They could pull, like, I don't know if you've seen Star Wars Rogue One, but they could pull something like that, because they're playing as heroes of Exandria. So they're probably playing as like level 15 plus characters in this one shot. So what I could see happening, because it either ends or starts with the Calamity starting, they could all die. Like, depending on who they're playing, like they could all die by the end of it.
Because not many people, people survive the Calamity, but it wasn't much of a survival for a long time.
Right.
Like, and the trailer also,
the Calamity lasts a long ass time too.
Yeah, it shows them almost essentially like being on a floating city. It'd be cool. This would be cool, and it's probably not going to happen, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool if is it 4 episodes? Is that right?
Yeah.
If they took place in different time periods, or like a different there's like year gaps between the session.
That's interesting.
So we could roleplay the entirety of the Calamity, not even just the start. If it could be like the beginnings, and then it's happened, and the crux of it, and then getting towards the end of it. That'd be kind of cool. I don't think it's really cool. I think it's going to be very much them just running around the city trying to stop it from happening. Oops, it happened. Which is cool too. I'm sure it's cool too.
Yeah,
I just like my idea.
When it was unveiled that it was happening, Sam was saying that your jaw's going to drop in the first 10 minutes. So I'm wondering if
maybe it happens.
Yeah, that's the way I'm wondering. I'm wondering if it like kicks off like right away, and we have like an almost like Chroma Conclave type scene play out, where all of a sudden the Betrayer gods start appearing around or something.
And that imagery of the gods during the Calamity is wild. The like, you know, multi-story tall behemoths of their avatars just fighting over cities. I love seeing just visual representations of the gods. And you're like, oh, they're just giant beings. Like, this is wild. Who's playing Pervon? That's incredible.
Who is that? I know that character. Who is that?
Pervon was the champion of the Raven Queen. Pervon's they got the Deathwalker's ward from his grave. It's like, just
gotcha. Because I think people were saying that the Raven Queen had already ascended.
Yes.
At this point. Because I was like, damn, wouldn't it be cool if one of them played as pre-ascended Raven Queen?
Ooh.
But I don't think the timeline matches up for that. But that would have been cool.
But we might get like some Vasselheim lore because, you know, Vasselheim was the only city that managed to stay standing.
Maybe we might get some Luxon stuff, maybe?
Well, Luxon predates the Calamity, right?
Probably
did the Jorhasi and Drow, they left the Underdark pre-Calamity, right?
Maybe.
I don't know. Does anyone here watch Critical Role and tell us what happened? Like, who has seen Critical Role?
I've never.
Like, Layla's Kryn, because she did it.
Yeah, Luxon predates everything. That's what I thought. Luxon is pre-everything. Because the dynasty doesn't really worship the Pantheon; they worship the Luxon.
Yeah.
Luxon is founding time. Yeah. That's how I remember it.
When the Betrayal gods were defeated and banished in the Calamity, the Drow returned to their subterranean cities.
Yep.
And then
We know what we're talking about here. We always know.
What?
But I'm very excited for it. I don't know if I'll be watching it as it airs. I might wait and speed through it a bit, but I am very excited for it. I think it's going to be really cool. The Calamity is a really cool time period. They have an awesome cast. This will be the first time I've seen Brendan Lee Mulligan DM because I haven't seen Dimension 20. I'm excited to see how
it's really good.
Yeah, I bet. Because from what I've heard, just from people who've watched Dimension 20, and specifically from Matthew Perkins, he described Brendan Lee Mulligan as like a faster paced DM.
Well, it's also edited. It's also it's edited to take out the low points. But yeah, it is very fast and it is very kind of not loosey goosey. That's not the correct term. It's because it is very he'll provide the rules and then he just lets you play with them. So it's gonna be really good. Very energetic DM.
Yeah. Which is going to be interesting because the Calamity is a very dark and devastating time. So it's interesting to see how that personality, that DMing style, fits in with this narrative that they're running.
Yeah,
I'm excited. It's going to be good. That does mean we will have. Yeah, it does mean we will have a month break from Campaign 3 coming up at the end of May, returning again June 30th. So we'll have some time. But I suppose with all of that being said, is there anything else we wish to touch on?
Oh my god.
Episodes, EXU Calamity. I don't think so.
So what do we got? We've got Laudna's Phylactery.
Yep.
We've got Imogen is Gollum. We've got Ashton. Just doing Ashton stuff.
Ashton has a portal gun. Chetney is evil.
Chetney is evil. Orum's just along for the ride at this point. And Fern's just living her best life.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Fern's just Fern is just she's seen the potential and she's living how she wants to live, and that's all we ever really want, isn't it?
And we love her for that. And so I suppose with all of that being said, then we can go ahead and call this one a wrap. So as always, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everyone who participated in our live chat, and thank you to everyone who's going to be watching this when it uploads to YouTube or listening in on Spotify or Anchor or wherever else this podcast may find itself. We super appreciate your support, and if you're looking to support us further, be sure to follow us on Twitter, at WhatTheSheepPod on Twitter. You can go ahead and follow us in the description down below is where the link is. We post updates on when we're going live, when we have to cancel, and all that stuff. So if you're looking just to stay up to date on the goings-ons with the What She Podcast, be sure to follow us on Twitter. And also follow our own personal Twitters. Links to those are also in the description down below. Anyways, seriously, thank you all so much. It means a lot that you're all here. Don't forget to love each other. Spread the love to everyone you meet, to everyone you see. But most importantly, do not forget to love yourself. That is the most important thing you can do. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. Drink some water, eat some food, get plenty of rest. I'm proud of you. Thank you for being here. And so, all that being said, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, wherever you may be on this glorious earth. And we'll see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I would just like to take a second to give a huge shout out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters. Thank you to all of my expositors, Leah, Olivia, Sean, Pseudonym, the DM's Den, and Hannah. Thank you to all of my archivists, Annika, Daniel, Elliot, Emerson, Melissa, Noel, John, Linnea, and Matt. And thank you to all of my high curators, Adam, Caleb, IMI, Andrea, Dustin, Rin, and Sylvia. Thank you all so very much for supporting me on Patreon. It truly does mean a lot to me. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Stay awesome, and I'll see you all in the next one.